ghost that is stuck here and one that just visits? I mean, do you run into that too, where they're just sort of...
Yes, but it's not a ghost that visits. It's the ghost that gets stuck, and the visiting is done by spirit guides, by souls that have already crossed over, by family members. You know, if you have a family member that dies and is close with you, they'll hang around the earth plane for a few days. They'll a lot of times attend their own funerals.
And sometimes a few weeks to help you find the will and get things stabilized. And then as everybody gets more stable and they're not in that vulnerable, volatile situation, then they'll, their visits will be less frequent, and then pretty soon they'll just go and maybe come back only once in a while when needed.
But the key thing is they cross over.
They have already crossed over.
That's the big difference.
Once they cross over, they can, not as a spirit guide, once they cross over, they can come back and help out until things are stable again. And then they can go be a guide. They don't usually stick around at more than like a month or so. But there's like this protocol that they have to go through. And it's like Ronnie said, they have to go through the tunnel first. They can come back in a half hour after they've gone through the tunnel. Time is way different on the other side than it is here. And so it may seem like they've never left when they zoomed out and zoomed back in again. Now, my best friend and business partner died a few months ago, and it's like she never left. She zoomed to the other side, got her training, came back, and she's with me and all of my colleagues, all of the first wave indigos that I'm working with. She never left. Now her family thinks she's gone. They don't feel her around, and that's because she's with me.
Exactly.
But if they were in the space, they would be able to feel her. But she's here, and people say, well, don't you miss her? I'm like, no, she's like right there. She's not gone. So it was a really wonderful experience for me to feel somebody cross over and that they were never gone. And I'm sure that a lot of you will have that situation happen to you too, especially as times are changing, energy changing, the matrix of this hologram is changing, so that can happen more often if we open ourselves up to it. Now, if I was close to it and whining and crying and sniveling and saying, oh, she left me and I've got a website to do now and I don't know how to do it, and whining over that, I probably wouldn't be able to feel her guidance saying, all the passcodes are in this book. If you just like open that book up, you'll find out what you need. And so it's being open and having a lighter perception about things. One thing that Ronnie and I are really intimate about is humor. We go through the most hideous situations with humor, and it changes everything. We're not scared. People say, well, aren't you scared? Don't you ever get scared? No, we get creepy sometimes, but we're not scared, and we're definitely not scared of the ghosts. And we have been threatened by ghosts, and we have been needled by ghosts and pushed by them. And, they try to get us out, and they say, the big thing ghosts say is, get out. She says it really good.
That's as I hear it.
It's like every ghost seems to say, get out.
Common thread.
Yeah. They all say it.
The interesting thing, too, is once someone crosses over into spirit, they move at the speed of thought. So that's why many times when I'm doing readings for people, they'll mention a loved one, and just that thought, that loved one is right there with some kind of message. So it's really kind of cool. Yep.
So anyway, I think our time is about up. So one more quick question. Okay.
One more quick question.
Okay.
I have a 100-year-old Victorian-style craftsman.
Yes.
And I have had experiences in my home where I believe
Imagine
I have
that.
company. And I was wondering what the likelihood of having you come out and do your work in my home would be, and how I would go about scheduling that and all of that
We will talk
information.
to you after this. We will totally help you with that Victorian home.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. The other thing, real quick, since Brent brought that up, and that's local, we have ghost busted around the entire world. Japan, I think, being the furthest away. We don't need to physically be there to bust a ghost. Because when you get outside of third dimension, there is no space and time. So Lauralee and I can sit in the comfort of our living room and connect in through remote viewing type styles and connect in with that entity and help them cross over.
And it's actually sometimes more efficient because we can go, okay, attic, zoom, check it out, okay, zoom out, okay, basement, zoom in, okay, we got that down, okay, main floor, zoom in, okay, we got that down, and instead of having to walk
Takes less time.
all over through it, it just takes way a lot more time. So.
And one last question?
Well, earlier they were talking about the ghost hunting shows.
Uh-huh.
Like on the ghost hunting shows, they have like maps of those houses. Couldn't you just do the ghost busting from watching that show too?
We could.
But it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and so we have to pick and choose which ghosts we do because we could be ghost busting out. We could ghost bust here. We could ghost bust walking down the street because there's just ghosts everywhere. And what I've had to do is put my psychic antennas back in because ghosts are everywhere. And did anybody see the movie Ghost Town? Where the ghosts were like talking to him. It's like, shut up. It would be like that if we didn't keep our antennas in. We do what we can. When we do a ghost busting, we will then open up the portal and ghost bust the whole neighborhood, and cats and dogs and animals and ducks and things. We have a special portal for animals, and so we try to do that with making it bigger and cleaning things up. But we could be ghost busting 24/7
And it is exhausting. That's what some people don't realize. We have to be in such an altered state and maintain that state in order to do what we do. When we come back down into the density of third dimension, we are so drained and so exhausted that we need to just take a break.
And we're getting better at it. We used to be we used to have to take naps after. So we are getting better. But that was a good question because yes, we could, and we do every once in a while. We do that. We did ghost bust the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and that's another story. It'll be in our next book.
That goes the sequel.
It's a very interesting story. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we can. Very good. Okay,